Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Nate Casts. We've got ourselves the round of 8 here from the ESL Pro Tour Europe. This cup that was played very recently. Big shout out to ESL for the replays to bring you guys some coverage in the top right of Everdream. We have the red Terran player. He is HeroMarine. He faces off against the green Zerg player. In the bottom left, he is Lambo. Although I do feel like trying to drive a Lambo around out during the chaos now would put you as a big target for having a lot of toilet paper. I know part of the discussion, people were telling me that a lot of Europeans use bidets, but I actually haven't seen the bidets as much in Europe. When we did the Olympic StarCraft tournament, every toilet in Korea has like a whole remote control for it. That was pretty wild. That impressed me. But I digress. We've got some nice TVZ coming up here. Big Gabe, as it were. Very popular. Considered one of the top non-Korean Terrans. I believe Big Gabe's last major finals appearance was DreamHack Montreal against... Was he in the final of that one? It was DreamHack Montreal against... what's his face? That guy that played the one tournament to get in. I don't even know why his name slips. Oh, True. Right. The guy that literally just builds mass baneling every game. Well, now that's the meta, but... he was ahead of the curve there. So it's been a little while. Big Gabe's still popular though. I will say his meme stock shot up quite a bit. Thankfully, the NASDAQ does not affect that. So we'll see what he wants to go for. It's a Reaper expand with the SCV Scout. I do think in this meta, SCV scouting Zerg is really important to do. I think their Zerg players have increased their aggression as they've realized that many of the good quote-unquote Terran builds are all 3 CCs now. So oftentimes a lot of Zergs have been doing, especially if there's any Terrans that you might think do the Battlecruiser rush, a lot of Zergs just blindly go for like the Roach Ling or Ravager Ling on like 2 base or maybe like a fake third. Of course, by fake third, I mean the, I took a third base but didn't put anything there. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. So I think that the meta for TVZ shifting a little bit back towards greed on the Terran side. It's really hard to do damage early on to a Zerg player, especially with the nerfs to the Battlecruiser. So I'm not surprised to see this. Hellions, I still like that as the follow-up. But as far as what we're going to see out of Lambo, usually you want to wait for this Reaper to die before you make any commitments. If he was going to start a Roach Horn, it would be right now. If he was going to start a Baneling Nest, it would be right now. Or he can just go take his third. There it is. Speed is finishing. If he doesn't get any follow-up tech that can make him vulnerable to Hellion Harass, but this Overlord, he knows there's no wall in the natural at all. So it's possible that as his speed is done and he gets his lair, he might try to delay something that HeroMarine would do with like a run by or a counterattack. Some pretty good options that are on the table here for Lambo. His stim is on the way. So HeroMarine's going to play this into bio. I don't hate that. Seems like a lot of Terrans really don't want to play versus Mass Viper with mech. And that's one of the reasons why, despite all the chitter chatter about Thors and whatnot, Zergs have adapted and found a way to deal with a lot of the mech things that they were very upset about a few months ago when the post-BlizzCon patch came in. But HeroMarine's actually just playing this very conservatively. He's left most of his Hellions at home. He's just got 2 out on the map, and 2 isn't even enough to dive on a creep tumor or anything like that. He just wants to be somewhat aware of what's happening. But Lambo's going to get a Spire before a Baneling Nest, which I really like, because it's still pretty far away. It takes so long for Terran to ramp up into their production phase. He's going to have a Spire done by the time HeroMarine has, what, 5 Marines building at a time? So that's going to make things tricky. Obviously, the Hellions have a window here, but he's been droning up very slowly, too, because it's a bit more of a gas-focused build. So the Queens are going to come over. There's no drones to actually try and focus fire over there. And he's just going to play ball with the creep. He's got plenty of queens to try and defend. And I do like this setup for Lambo quite a bit. Making good use of the map features. These two ramps very close to each other. Defending with the queens. What else is there for a Zerg to do? But see the timing of the starport coming in. Like, the Spire is going to be done around the same time that he can even try to start building medevacs. So, flying across the map, going to be super risky. The only weakness of a strategy like this, if HeroMarine plays well and controls well, Baneling speed is pretty late. He's going to squeeze out a wave of drones or two, but the timing of Baneling speed does make things can feel a little bit dicey if HeroMarine's able to get a good push, because Mass Marine, with the first wave of medevacs here, like if he starts to get on the map and tries to harass, and the armory finishes and he gets some Hellbats, you're going to really wish you had Bane speed. So it is now on the way, but that's why I like Lambo's build though, because he's actually getting the mutas so fast. If he can pin HeroMarine back at all, he'll easily get Baneling speed before an attack could come, because this is still a lot of Marines, but we'll see. HeroMarine may not even want to attack until he has 2-2, which is not really uncommon for this matchup. But I am very happy to see it's going to be Lingbane Muta versus Bio. What flavor of Bio? Is it going to be Widow Mines? Is it going to be Siege Tanks? Looks like it could be Mines. Would love to see a second factory at some point when he can afford it. But here you go, boosting those medevacs across. This is what I was talking about. Baneling speed still 20 seconds away. In a hypothetical scenario where he's able to force a fight before there's a bunch of Banes with speed on creep, this is going to be real hard to defend. Baneling speed could finish right on time. There are only 4 Banes though. He's going to start up 6 more, 7 more. A lot of Zerglings. Clearing the creep here. He's being cautious, but if you know that there's no Bane speed in that situation, you try to get it. But this is what I was talking about. He's trying to pin HeroMarine back. This is always going to be one of the biggest weaknesses for Terran. That base defense from counterattacks is so hard to pull off. And he was in such I think maybe tunnel visioned rush to get that attack going. Just didn't really even think about what the other options were for Lambo, what he could be doing during all of this, because his +1 air is about to finish. He's kind of got this army pinned with this many Zerglings, and with the mutas, he can't really pick up and try to run. So there you go. He's going to get the surround even off creep. He does not care. And the mutas will chase down those medevacs, and Lambo gets himself a phenomenal engagement. Maybe loses a muta here, but at the end of the day, you kill the entire Terran push, and he also ransacked a mineral line. HeroMarine rebuilt the SCVs pretty quickly, but 12 workers, that's not a fun amount to lose. And Lambo, I will say this. I didn't even realize, okay, his upgrades are pretty late. Now, he's got Banelings, so as long as you have enough Banelings and they make the connections, your upgrades don't matter as much. Still important. I'm always going to say upgrades are important, but this is turning into what I would like to just, I guess you describe as ye old classic Zerg versus Terran, where mutas poke and prod, and you try to get enough damage done that the Terran player eventually kills themselves by being like, oh my god, this, I'm just gonna push on creep, try to pre-split. It never works, by the way, unless you're Maru from 2018. Never works. And I'm not even sure that splitting on creep was what his success was actually in that year either. But he comes up, cleans it up, says, oh, you want to push me? Well, I got my mutas here. Easy peasy medevac pickoff. I do like what HeroMarine's done with the depots out front of his base to be spotters, and a Widow Mine slipped in there too, because he is your primary concern, I think, in this meta when you play TVZ is Ling run buys. It's very hard to defend against them because bunkers cost supply, and usually Terran production is going to give you less units than what the Zerg has. So it's very easy to kind of get this claustrophobic feel around your own base where you're just terrified of a couple of Banes cracking open a depot and then 40 Lings flooding in when you're in the middle of the map. And that's been something that Terrans have struggled with quite a bit for the last year or so, especially. It's gotten quite brutal since players like Cyril have really shown everybody else how good throwing Lings in can be. And Lambo's gotten a really good muta count. He's hardly lost any. Lost 2 mutas in this whole game. Resources lost is quite disgusting. It looks even number-wise. Dead even, you could say. But what has been lost is pretty much only Lings on the side of Lambo. Now he comes in. HeroMarine wants to push across the map, but the mutas are in the main base. They kill the building turret. They kill the other turret. These Marines, these changelings giving vision, so he knows what's in the third waiting for him. Still has Overlord spotting for vision everywhere. These units get cleaned up, trying to make that push. SCVs actually can't get us around on the turret to even try to repair it. A Thor comes out, but it's not like the Thor has any upgrades that would make the Mutalisks more prone to dying from them. So really good harass there from Lambo as he kills another 11 workers. And I think really at this point, your big thing is just focus on getting back to the upgrades. His 2-2s coming in. It's nice for HeroMarine to have that upgrade advantage, but if you can't get out on the map, it doesn't make things easier. Widowmine does grab a free kill there on a Muta. Not too shabby. The gas cost difference, always a worthy trade. And this is what I find interesting, because that Overseer is very low, but I really like that HeroMarine got Drilling Claws. That's going to allow the Widow Mines to instantly burrow, but also, without detection, you can't kill burrowed mines once they have the upgrade, even after they shoot. And in my mind, it's got to be the most important upgrade for Terran versus Zerg right now. I don't even think Stim is, because you can't really win games versus Zerg with just bio anymore. It almost completely boils down to good usage of things like the mines, the Thors, down the line, Liberators, Ghosts, and dare I say it, random planetary fortresses, because it's the only supply-free ground static defense you have. But this is what you're always worried about. The Banelings just kind of running into your base, and at the same time, he's got... Ooh. Okay, those mines get some pretty good hits. Good shaving off of the Mutas to limit the amount of collateral damage. 4 missile turrets in production, and none of them are going to finish, Roddy. Maybe the one on the top. It doesn't seem to... No! Okay, gets a cancel off at least. Thank God for that. Another mine does burrow, but he manages to get out of dodge just in the nick of time.
Is so great right now. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, man. I'm glad to provide some content while the world falls apart, bruh. 20 SCVs blown up at the same time from that attack on the northwest. Those Banelings, they waited, they came back. And this is the pendulum of harass in Zerg versus Terran that makes it so difficult for Terran sometimes, because now you're like, all right, I've got to push. I've got to get out on the map. What does the Zerg player say? I'm going to build a lot of Banelings and crash them into your face like we are in bar fight. And these Mutas actually fly straight over some Marines, somehow avoiding an engagement for half a second. Seattle shut down, but somehow you're still at work. Sorry to hear that, Jacker. Hey, LA shut down, and I'm at work right now. Keepo. We have some Banelings catching these Lings that were chasing the Mutas. Always risky to try and chase, even off creep in this situation. Those Lings did so well. We were talking about that picture of the cat and the dog. They're very cute. So these Banelings all come in to grab the SCVs that are trying to repair the planetary. And 9-10 more. Oh yeah, right, let's not forget, you didn't push me because I built 1,000,000 Banes. Now I bring the 1,000,000 Banes to you. And the Muta count is actually the most impressive thing in this game. 14 Mutas have died, but Lambo's done a phenomenal job of keeping the Mutas in play. A lot of people talk about, they're like, oh yes, the Thor can be so strong, so good, but it's actually the single target attack that's gotten buffed for it. Its splash attack has the same AoE. I'm gonna blow your mind. The AoE attack that the Thor has, the splash damage, it's the same size as a corrosive bile. So as long as the Mutas don't clump super hard, the Thors without attack upgrades aren't very good against them. Forces a complete lift off of the whole army, and Lambo just swallowing this army whole of HeroMarine. The next wave comes up, does help push back a little bit, and HeroMarine did finally get that 4th planetary set up. I will say, HeroMarine's done a really good job of keeping the economy going throughout all of these attacks, because Lambo has really leaned into him. Really leaned into him there. Gonna try and catch some of these Marauders and whatnot on the other side. Love this high ground Marines and Thors. And that's where those Drilling Claw mines get big, right? Where are the Overseers now, right? So moving around the map's gonna get a little bit tougher if you don't have that good level of detection. I definitely think you want to spread those mines like Ligma all around the map if possible. And there you go. It's going to clear out a few of the Lings that are coming in for this counterattack. Unloading a drop on the south side. These SCVs mostly saved. There wasn't too much to kill them there, which is always nice. Lambo does not have burrow yet. I'm like, what's a random Baneling doing over there? These Marines coming over to the south. Or I guess, okay, it's to the south for them, but it is actually the northeast expansion from the main. If you were casting from the Zerg's perspective, I guess. He trades a few of those Marines and this medevac for 1 Muta, which isn't bad. We've got a massive pre-spread here by HeroMarine, but Oh, actually, there's nothing on the west side. So these drones all gonna go get completely obliterated by the Marines of HeroMarine. Now, this is one of those situations that we're always talking about, coming in from multiple different angles. The pre-split seemed to be good enough to sustain the first wave of banelings, but what about second banelings? As they come charging off creep, one mine shot. Nope, okay. Load up, no. He's got another wave pushing. Lambo's army supply falling drastically. I hear the words of a Frenchman echo through my mind. Can HeroMarine complete the shutdown? He really got battered and beaten. Lambo's harassed this game was disgusting. But food for thought. I don't see a lot of overseers. Okay, finally bringing one back. Got a second one. These mines could get big money. Man, Zergs are so good at dealing with mines. Sometimes. At least when they're dealing with them defensively, they're really good. Widow mines are best when they're left by a missile turret or a random mineral line. But look at this. Leave the Marauders up front. Try and soak the Banes and the mine drags. Marines continuing to kite off creep, but the medevacs are actually out of energy. They're not even chasing these Marines to try and heal them anymore. However, as long as the banelings are gone, these Marines are not going to be super worried about the mutas. I would like to point out, we have Hive Tech, but okay, +3 attack is on the way for Lambo. HeroMarine never got +3 armor. And I actually think that's a massive mistake. I think that has a huge impact on these fights. Oh, he tried to drag the mine shots over the bio. That's not going to work. GG, HeroMarine, after a brutal back and forth game, takes the first map. Not bad. I thought Lambo had that one. That was pretty well played. Yeah, I thought Lambo had that one for sure. After he got the kill on all the workers in the main and the turrets, I felt like things were going to fall apart real quick, but I guess not. And we are loaded into game number 2 in the bottom left here of Eternal Empire. We have the Red Terran player. He is Lambo. No, shit, Nathan. Wrong button. He is HeroMarine. Yagit leading 1-0. And in the top right, he is Lambo. There you go. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Hey, Nate, you going to be laddering much in the coming weeks? No. No, I'm not. I'm going to be trying to do some more casting content. I'm personally not super happy with the state of the game, so I'd rather just play less. If you're curious, I'm going to be casting more and probably streaming a lot more for those of you interested. Thursday night, we're going to have Resident Evil 3 demo. Comes out on Thursday. I'm going to be practicing my dodges, my mechanics. I want to get really good at the mechanics of that game before Resident Evil 3 actually drops. And then Thursday at 9 p.m., because I live in California, on Thursday night, Animal Crossing New Horizons is going to drop. I plan to stream a lot of Resident Evil, a lot of Animal Crossing. I'm also going to be streaming Doom Eternal. So you're going to have plenty of stuff to watch. And then for Weeb Wednesdays, we will have Persona 5 Royal, which also comes out in March. I think March 31st, Persona 5 Royal is going to be dropping. But yeah, I don't really like the state of Terran. So playing less of the game is something that I would rather do than complain about it. So that's just how I feel. We've got a Reaper expand, looks like, from HeroMarine. No SCV Scout this time, but Lambo's not quite the Bly of the European scene, so I don't think you have to constantly be scouting against him. I still think it's important, but Eternal Empire is a really good defensive map, and one of the reasons why I like it is, unlike a couple of the other ones in the pool, you can do a good job with a siege tank on the high ground here. You can defend your natural pretty easily as well as your main. High ground defensive units, I think, are a crucial part of map design for Terrans, because in this meta, at least, Terran has the hardest time gathering additional expansions. Reaper kills a Ling. He's poking, he's prodding. He's trying to be annoying. Third hatch is coming in for Lambo, though. I think the Reaper might want to confirm that. He's just going to start his third command center, too. This is the... I hear some people talk about stuff like this being really greedy. This is actually standard. I think you need to do this. I think one of the hardest things about Terran right now is how slow the ramp up is to get into the production phase. And I think even if you do a 2-base all in, that ramp up is still so slow. So because an orbital costs 550 minerals, it makes sense that you kind of need to get them as early as possible in order for them to pay off. I think of taking bases as for Terran, like playing direct strike when you take a gas there. And it's like, hey, just so you know, if you want to buy an extra Vespine Geyser to get more money, this actually is a net loss for you until 5 minutes from now, just so you know. Direct strike really teaches you probably more about economy than the actual game of StarCraft, honestly. Viking opener, though. I love Viking openers. Vikings, Hellions, late extra gas. I guess going for the second gas in the natural is quite curious. You already want to rally your SCVs there, so I can't even say I hate that. Actually, can't even say I hate that. Hellions are going to go out on the map with the Reaper. Try to do some poking, try to do some prodding again. No alternative tech from Lambo, though. He did get speed for his Overlords and his Zerglings, but I will say, I did think that with him continuing to mine gas, he might have gone in a different direction. So the Viking's going to push this Overlord back, but guess what? Lambo knows, son. Lambo knows, ho. So it's going to be a battle cruiser opening. And I don't really like these too much more against Zerg. On this map, there are quite a few places you can hide it, dead airspace wise. I don't think you can tuck it here against Zerg, maybe. So this map's not the worst, but the more I see battlecruiser builds, the less I like them. I don't think that I've seen an impactful BC opening since what? Special versus Scarlet, because she only built 3 queens because she was going to do some other weird build, and then the BC teleported in, and one battlecruiser does in fact beat 3 queens when there are no spore crawlers. So the Overlord wants to come in and basically say, hey, look at where it's clicked on. It says, I want to know, are you going to take, you actually building a BC? Is that happening? Is that happening, dog? Did you cancel it because I saw the fusion core? And no, battlecruiser is on the way. Fusion core is still there. Confirming that is important. Having that information is very nice. And the Viking is on the other side of the map. So waiting a little bit to send the second Overlord in, if you're a Zerg player, is always a smart thing to do. And Lambo does it beautifully. Obviously, the Viking is still going to be by the Terran base if you send the second Overlord in immediately after the first to check for a cancel. So you do want to wait a little bit. What I do find interesting is Yamato is going to get researched. That will not come into play until there are about 2 battlecruisers on the map, usually. So the Hellions come in. I think if you can wiggle a Creep Tumor Kill or 2, that would be really nice, but doesn't look like he's going to opt for that. Maybe just come here and poke the hatch. The standard follow-up for builds like this, double factory. This is super kosher. I honestly think going up to 5 factory is more important than getting the 2 armories. But we'll see if he decides to do that. Yeah, it's going to go on double armory first. That's okay. And this poke actually is really nice because Lambo's going into roaches. He don't want to build lings. Lings ain't going to do ish to this. He's getting a roach warren. He's getting the roaches out. He's getting a spire. And the roaches are going to finally say, piss off. But this hatchery is going to be missing quite a bit of health. And opportunity may strike for a large Gabriel soon. He did build the first battlecruiser. He's not going to yeet it in. He wants to save the teleport for the escape, which makes a lot of sense. It takes 5 seconds for the battlecruiser to teleport out now. So that extra bit of time makes it quite a bit more tricky to reposition them than it otherwise was. And of course, the first of those 5 seconds, the battlecruiser can be killed. So you need to be careful. This is the most standard follow-up, though. You get mag field. You should start blue flame. There you go. 4th and 5th factory. I think this style works best off of 4 bases and 7 factories. We'll see what kind of tech setup he wants. Some Terrans go for extra starports instead of factories. But look, we got the Hellions at the front. The roaches were all still by the 3rd base. And there's one Yamato. Boom, boom. Second battlecruiser is done, though, right? Where's that bad boy? Okay. He's not going to yeet that one in. The spire is done, so it would be pretty silly to teleport the battlecruiser in my opinion. Oh, these Hellions might get a queen kill. That'd be nice. Transfuse to Strunk, and he will escape. This battlecruiser actually is teleport off cooldown, so since it didn't teleport in, so the opportunity is still there. Viking gets another Overlord kill. I like that. That battlecruiser is going to return, looking for some more carnage. But 4th base for HeroMarine. We do have a Baneling nest coming in. It's not as important, but you do need to keep in mind that Hellbats are still going to be strong against the queens if there's no support. The gas income off this extra base is really nice, though. And 10 Corruptors being added. Corruptors are just amazing versus battle cruisers, so... You need to prevent the BCs from snowballing, though. There's one queen. Yamato'd out of existence. And these battle cruisers are actually getting some damage done. No transfuse from the queens with energy. Bit of a mistake from Lambo. He's busy trying to deal with these Hellions as he's lost 8 drones in a short period of time. So HeroMarine is actually getting a lot of work done. That Spire was done quite a while ago, but he waited a good amount of time before actually using it. And now the third battle cruiser is complete. So with 4 siege tanks, HeroMarine can stop a roach counter, which is the most important thing. The Hellions actually got drone kills on the other side of this, which I did not think would happen. But here's the way you do it. You use 1 to 2 tanks to kind of cover this small choke. Everything else goes towards the front. And then you use the battle cruisers and the Cyclones to just wreak havoc. The Cyclones try to get the Corruptors. The battle cruisers, literally anything else. The only unit that the battle cruiser is not worth even repairing against is the Corruptor. You do not want to fight Corruptors with BCs. A lot of Zerg players like to talk about the relationship of the new Thor versus the Broodlord. You're like, well, man, you can't even build Broodlords. Thors are so good. I'm like, dude. Corruptors are basically the same thing for BCs. You need to avoid getting your battle cruisers into a fight with the Corruptors. But Cyclones are really good at killing Corruptors, so there's a good what's the word? Symbiotic relationship between those two units. They've got good synergy, and I'm not just talking about a garbage KVM program. So these random overlords on the map are going to get picked off. That actually supply blocks Lambo a little bit. That next one does it a bit worse. And this is what you want to do. Cause a bit of chaos. Because I have to ask now, where are the battle cruisers? He's keeping them at home. So these Corruptors are going to run over here. Do we have Cyclones nearby? Uh-oh. Is he going to click on the planetary? Is he going to click on the planetary? I would get missile turret range. This is one of the things in missile turret range you wouldn't even think about, but it can be good to have the 8 range on the turret. Just going to kill the refinery for free. That's nice. If these Cyclones can catch him, though, he's going to really regret that. Cyclones just got to keep going east. He might barely miss the Corruptors. No, don't pull back. Don't pull back. World. Oh, wait. Yeah, no, he could just go to the bottom right corner. What am I thinking? But now that he knows the Corruptors are in the bottom right, this is the ace play. You bring the BCs out. I would just Yamato a Ravager each, and honestly, just try to kill the Banelings. If a Zerg runs their army close to you in this situation, Yamato the Ravagers and just focus the Banes. They're way more expensive than the, there you go. The Banelings are way more expensive than this hatchery. Like, you got to remember, Banelings per supply are extremely expensive because they only cost half the supply. You kill 6 Banelings, in my mind, that's definitely better than getting the hatchery, unless it's like fully saturated and you're low eco. But the siege tanks are brought to the front. Banelings are all dead, and now Cyclone tank battlecruiser coming in on just Ravager Corruptor. The transition into Infestors is on the way for Lambo, but I don't think he's going to get there in time. Neural Parasite is not even done. He did get Pathogen Glands, so they'll come out with Fungals, but Fungals don't kill mech, man. Fungals do not kill mech, in case anybody was curious. So the Corruptors are going to try and come up, but you cannot push with the Corruptors against the Cyclones. And he doesn't have the Zergling count he needs to push against that. So there's the Fungal on the battlecruiser. Is going to try to hit him with the Biles. 1 BC is knocked down. The other 2 are going to try and teleport back home. He's not going to aggressively teleport to the natural or anything silly like that. A mega crap ton of Banelings were morphed in, but I don't like this, actually. He's unsieging every tank. And yeah, okay, there you go. Siege 1 or 2 back up. Siege him to cover the flank, but also in case the guy jumps on you. There's 32 drones at this base, BT dubs. That could have been a bloodbath. He's going to send these 2 battlecruisers around the outside. There's a Fungal. Think he'll get 2 Cyclones for that? Maybe the 3rd. Okay, now he's pushing in. You need the tanks to hit the Banelings. If those Banelings connect, you know, you think to yourself, Cyclones aren't light units. Well, Cyclones only have 120 health. It's actually one of the lowest health Terran units per cost. You do not want Banelings hitting your Cyclones, but he does end up pulling him all the way off creep. He killed that base. He killed this base. Where did the battlecruisers end up going? Did they die? No. Okay, these guys are somehow somehow, I'm still alive. That's a quote from Jill Valentine. We'll all be saying a lot in 2 weeks. So the Corruptors find the BCs. Teleport is on cooldown, so all he can do is trade one out. He yeets the other away. We've got some creep tumors being knocked down here. But HeroMarine, not sieged up with all of the tanks, is going to get into a little bit of a scrap. And this is where that roach production floodability of the Zerg is going to be so useful. But the Hellion reinforcements do come in. No transformation servos, though. Well, it's almost done. Okay. You know what? I'll forgive you this time, Gabe. There you go, GG. HeroMarine with a fantastic push. Takes 2-0 in this series over Lambo from the ESL Pro Tour Cup number 10.